Cheat, 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 cheat.
What's up, guys? It's your boy Benny. You ever been right about something, but it's bittersweet because it's a topic you didn't want to be right about, but you just really knew that something bad was about to happen and that you shouldn't mail everyone a ballot in America because horrible things will happen if you make election fraud possible by mailing everyone a ballot. Now, this is my own personal experience with this, is that I live in Washington, D.C. with universal mail-in ballots, and I received like a stack of ballots this thick to my home from every person that's ever lived in my house. They just mass mailed ballots to me. Why am I able to handle like 20 some odd ballots that aren't mine, right? It was just all the people who'd previously lived in the house that I bought. This creates the vectors for fraud. I shouldn't have that, just like I shouldn't have the PIN to your debit card. And now look at this report from today that just it absolutely stuns the nation. 1 in 5 admit to 2020 election fraud. Wait a second, I thought this was the most secure election in American history. That's what I was told. About 20% of 2020 voters now claim they took advantage of election laws that loosened up because of the coronavirus crisis to commit fraud, including filling out ballots for others, according to a shocking report unveiled Tuesday. Some admitted they voted in states they didn't live in, and others said that they let somebody else fill out their mail-in ballots, which is not allowed. For the past 3 years, Americans have repeatedly been told the 2020 election was the most secure in history, but poll findings are a reflection of reality. The opposite is true. The conclusion isn't based on conspiracy theories or suspect evidence, but rather on the responses made directly by voters themselves, says Justin Haskins, the director of the Heartland Institute Research Center. The 2020 election was unlike any other election in history. Tens of millions of Americans voted by mail due to the COVID-19 pandemic. At the time, many experts warned that the massive mail-in voting fraud would result in widespread voter irregularities. Unfortunately, these concerns were prophetic and resulted in the poll clearly showing that a large number of voters did indeed commit fraud in 2020. The public policy nonprofit group shared its polling results with Rasmussen, saying that 1 in 5 potentially committed fraud. Among the findings are 21% of likely voters who committed absentee ballot mail-in fraud in the 2020 election say they filled out a ballot, or in part or in full, on behalf of a friend or family member or a spouse or a child. 78% say they didn't. 30% voted by absentee mail-in ballot in the 2020 election. 19% say those who cast mails by vote by mail say that a friend or family member filled out their ballot. 17% of mail-in voters said that they cast a ballot in a state where they didn't live. Among all voters, mail-in and in person, 11% said a family or friend or a member or coworker or acquaintance filled out their ballot. My God, this is, of course, the news that is breaking around the country. People are blown away by the findings of this poll. So, according to this survey, 2020 was the most fraudulent election in American history. Nearly 20% of mail-in voters admit to fraud. 1 in 10 say they were offered cash or reward for a ballot. A huge number of voters who mailed in their ballots during the 2020 election have admitted to committing fraud. Offered cash? 8% of likely voters said they were offered to pay or a reward for voting in 2020. My God. My God. Well, ladies and gentlemen, now we understand exactly what Joe Biden meant when he said this.
Together, and you guys did it for our the President Obama's administration before this. We have put together, I think, the most extensive and inclusive voter fraud organization in the history of American politics.
Extensive and inclusive voter fraud organization in the history of American politics. It was so extensive that CNN accidentally caught voter fraud on a live shot from Ohio.
Ballot drop box in Cuyahoga County, Ohio. You can see this woman right here casting her vote. Did you vote for Reagan or Jimmy Carter?
Carter.
Carter, okay. We don't want to get too personal with people here, but you can see there's actually a traffic jam. We can come around.
Look at this. Look at this lady. Look at the stack of ballots she got. Look at that. Wearing a mask in the car alone with a van full of ballots. Look at that. And 8% of respondents said they were paid for their ballots. That's why you see videos like this. This is a video from a Democrat county, in a Democrat city, in a Democrat state, where Democrats are committing fraud against other Democrats. This is Wanda. Wanda's wobbling around at 4 a.m. in the morning, stuffing ballots into the ballot box. She has a garbage bag full of ballots, and she's just walking over and shoving them in. What does this look like in practice? Well, what you're seeing on your screen, a judge had to overturn this election because the judge said there's absolutely no way we could figure out who really won this thing, because Wanda shoved so many ballots into the ballot box. 5,600 federal-only ballots were cast in Arizona without proof of U.S. citizenship. That's what it looks like. It looks like elections that we can't decide on. Like, for instance, last week in Louisiana, a judge had to strike down the results of an election where a Democrat won by 1 vote because there were illegal votes cast. How were they cast? Vote by mail. 2 people voted twice. 5 people cast absentee mail-in ballots who should not have been counted for failure to comply with the law. 4 individual votes were cast by interdicted persons, either dead persons or unqualified voters because they were illegal criminal migrants. So now judges are having to nullify entire elections, happening in red states, happening in blue states. Again, the Connecticut judge said, nope, no way to figure out who won this election in Connecticut. So now we have to have a new election. What a nightmare. What a nightmare. Again, we're supposed to be this paragon of democracy and integrity for the whole world. And it just shows how criminal everything is. How criminal and broken everything is. Iowa official's wife found guilty on 52 counts of voter fraud. How'd she do it? Well, she had 52 different mail-in ballots, absentee ballots, and she filled them out for people. And now it turns out that what she was doing was just normal. This is just considered normal. Shouldn't be, but it is. Look at this. Kim Taylor, the wife of an Iowa County Supervisor, found guilty on 52 counts of voter fraud. What did she do? She attempted to generate votes in the year 2020 for her husband who was running for office. Taylor applied for and submitted false absentee ballots, signed ballots on voters' behalf without their permission, and encouraged others to do the same. So, maximum sentence of 5 years each. Goodness. So she could be sentenced to the rest of her life in prison. Here in Massachusetts, another blue city, Springfield, Massachusetts, mayoral election, controversy over voter fraud allegations. What happened? Well, you can literally see people being paid for their vote. Surveillance video shows a man driving people to the ballot box and then paying them to vote. People were asking, where's my payment? And I was promised $10 to vote. Absolutely remarkable. So again, there are a considerable percentage of people that said they were offered money and rewards for voting in 2020. How broken is our system? So unbelievably broken. The Gateway Pundit, of course, we have covered this extensively. Bags of prepaid gift cards, guns with silencers, burners phones, Democrat-funded organization, registered 800,000 ballot applications sent to non-qualified voters in, of course, the all-important swing state of Michigan. That Joe Biden won by 100,000 votes. How egregious is all of this, by the way? Like how embarrassingly egregious? How bad can it get? Check this out. Patterson City Council president and his wife stole the mail-in ballots to rig the 2020 election. So again, everyone's saying that they all committed mail-in fraud. This is what the end result looks like. When everyone's mailbox contains a ballot, what you get is elected officials like this guy, not really elected, this guy right here, and his wife went and just stole the ballots, removed the votes, threw away the ones that didn't vote for him, and inserted votes that voted for him fraudulently. This is what happens when you do not have secure elections. Sounds like something out of a Donald Trump fever dream, but this is literally the charges from the Secretary of State in the state of New Jersey. How often does voter fraud happen? Heritage Foundation has an extensive database of every single time election fraud occurred in America, and it is miles long. Just a sampling. 1,500 proven instances of voter fraud. And that, of course, seems demonstrably low. A fifth of the country committed voter fraud. Why? Well, because humans are fallen creatures and able to be corrupted. We live in a sunken place, and you shouldn't give everyone else's debit card number. Bad things will happen. You shouldn't give everyone else's the ATM pin. That shouldn't be something that you can just easily pluck out of a mailbox. And what is more important? Like, what is the most important thing we have in the country, quite frankly? It's like the capacity for self-governance and the destiny for the nation in our own hands. And you actually take that away by rigging the vote, by breaking our election systems, and by making our elections insecure so that goblins can go and steal this stuff, which is exactly what they did. Check this out. This is a report, again, from Blue State of Massachusetts, where people are just having their votes stolen in front of them. They're showing up to vote, and they're saying, nope, you already voted. Here's your vote. That's not my signature. Incredible. Watch.
An NBC 10 Boston exclusive. State and local officials are looking into allegations of attempted voter fraud in Lawrence, and we've exclusively obtained video footage from a Lawrence man's home appearing to show a woman removing ballots from his mailbox.
NBC 10's Darren Botello spoke with Secretary of State Bill Galvin about all of this. Darren, what did he have to say?
Well, right now, there are 2 police reports alleging voter fraud in Lawrence at this time, and there could be more on the way. We are told that there is an investigation going on at both the state and local level. And one man tells us he actually caught a woman on camera going into his mailbox stealing ballots. This is the Ring camera video appearing to show a woman taking out 3 ballots from a Lawrence man's mailbox. This is the man who didn't want to be identified, but says he went to go vote in person on Election Day last week and was told, according to the list, he already voted. That's when he checked his camera footage and then contacted police. The Essex County District Attorney's Office and Secretary of State William Galvin are now looking into any allegations of potential voter fraud.
We're going to get all the ballots out of Lawrence. We're going to get all the mail-in ballots, and we're going to review everything and all the provisionals and reconcile the lists. And if further investigation contacting some of the people who allegedly voted by mail needs to be done, we will do it.
There are 2 reports of potential voter fraud or stolen ballots right now in Lawrence.
There may be more. It's premature to say how many.
The second report filed was from this Lawrence woman who's still waiting for elections officials to decide whether her in-person vote will count or the mail-in, which she says has her signature forged.
How come it's not going to be counted if I'm voting right in front of you and I'm telling you that that vote that you have there is not mine?
State elections officials are now sorting through these allegations and were told the results would be delivered before the candidates begin their new terms in January.
We're on it. The minute we heard about it today, we took action. We've had a history of sending people to jail when they've committed crimes, and that's what we'll do here.
And there's also another component to these cases. If that mail was stolen out of those mailboxes, that's a federal offense, and we're told there could be a federal investigation on the way.